Hi, it's AIW from BCH, and welcome to Monday Nights at BCH. Can't believe we're on the second episode already. I hope I'm going to get this out on time, as last Monday's was a little bit late, but we'll see where it goes. So this episode, I was lucky enough to be able to interview Rob and Raven Mead of Caulkhead Comics. So we were talking about the past, present and future of independent comics. If you'd like to be interviewed by BCH, get in touch and we'll see what we can do. Right, without further ado, let's get on with the interview with Rob and Raven of Caulkhead Comics. Hi there, this is AIW and I'm with Rob Mead and Raven Mead of Caulkhead Comics.
Hello.
Hello.
Would you like to just introduce yourself in how did you get into comics?
Wow.
Forced into them.
So I've been collecting comics since I was, oh blimey. Realistically, it was 2000 AD that did it. Prog 467 for me. It was a Cam Kennedy cover. As a kid, I still am. You know, I'm dyslexic, and reading. I always found reading difficult, but for some reason, comics made me want to read more, it's great. It's a really good tool for, you know, getting children to read. And my mum really wanted me to take more of an active interest in reading, and comics just seemed to be the logical thing to do. So I was very drawn to Judge Dredd. You know, I still am. He's still my personal favourite comic character. And I've been reading 2000 AD since 467. And over the years, obviously, I've collected an awful lot of stuff, you know, whether that's Batman, Punisher, a lot of the British creators, Martial Law, big fan of that. Yeah, an awful lot. And then obviously working in the field of, you know, comic shops and things, it was just a logical progression to.
So 2000 AD's got a lot to answer for then.
Very much so. It was all there for. Yes.
What about you, Raven?
I was, you know, raised on them. They forced me to, kicking and screaming.
Yeah, right. Very much so.
I don't even like comics, to be frank with you. I started reading, like, properly, what was it? When I was like 15 or something?
Yeah, it's about that.
It was around about that. Started with, well, Batman was the main one that I stick with. But that's like down to growing up, like, you know, Batman animated series and Tim Burton movies and all, and The Dark Knight, you know, 66, all that kind of stuff. So naturally I just went and just continued to read those. And I didn't really do anything else for a good chunk of time.
No, it was Batman.
Yeah.
Wasn't interested in anything else.
Well, everything's kind of a downgrade from Batman, though, isn't it?
In your opinion, yes.
Yeah, he's Batman.
Yeah, he's Batman, right.
And then quite recently, we decided to do our own when we were asked if we wanted to do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a different story.
Yeah. He dragged us in kicking and screaming.
So, against this interest in comics, it's something I guess both of you, as myself, has probably kept up.
Oh, yes.
To current times.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, what's the origins of Caulkhead Comics?
So, with Caulkhead, I'd like to say it was a long process. It was sort of like happy instances that happened. It all started, obviously, you know, we are interested in comics. And during the lockdown, someone that we know, who's a really good friend, Dan Digby, he's a brilliant artist. He's wanted to break into the industry for a few years, as you do. You know, people are like, I want to be a comic artist, I want to be an actor, I want to direct movies, and all of this stuff. So he kind of put his money where his mouth was, and during the lockdown decided to start doing artwork, because obviously everyone went home and they couldn't really do anything. So he decided to start drawing, and he came up with this character, Hardcore Hair, posted it to social media, like his Facebook page, and everyone said, oh, this is brilliant, this is really good, when's the comic coming out? Of course, he hadn't planned anything, it was just an image that he'd drawn. So Dan quickly decided with another friend of his, Lee Benstead, that they were going to start doing a free-to-read comic, and Dan was going to post like a page a week. Obviously, having full-time jobs, mortgage, kids, life gets in the way. So he was going to do it as a free-to-read book. He got to about page 8, I think, and then the lockdown lifted. I saw him after that and just said to him as an off-the-cuff remark, I hadn't planned anything, and I said, what are you going to do with your comic? And he said, I've absolutely no idea, I don't know. So I said, can I print it? And stupidly, you could argue, Dan went, okay. Of course, I've got no history in publishing whatsoever. Zero. I had no experience whatsoever. And so now we were in the position of, okay, we've now got to print a comic. So we did the first one. Me and Raven paid for the first print run. Dan completed the book. And it went really well. And we sold out. So why wouldn't you do another one? Which we did. And it's just expanded from then.
Yeah, I was quite surprised how, as I mentioned earlier, that you were able to increase the line of comics that you're producing. I think the next one out, was the Fox. Was the next one out the Fox?
No.
Oh, what was in between Hardcore Hair?
Well, I mean, this is like...
one and the Fox.
Oh, after Hardcore Hair. Yeah,
after,
sorry,
after
you are correct. Yes, sorry, I thought you were talking about what's coming. No, you're not going nuts, you're fine. So yeah, the next one after that was Fox. Dan wanted Fox to be... Fox was his character. That's the one that he really, really wanted, to be successful. He's like, well, if you like Hardcore Hair, you're going to love Fox. And Fox sold really well, but it didn't sell as well as Hardcore Hair. Hardcore Hair's grabbed people and gone, I want more of this. So...
I mean, out of the two books, and no disrespect to the creative team, I do think Hardcore was the better of the two books, but that's not to say I've recently gone back and looked at Fox 1, and it is actually a good book.
Yeah, totally.
It's very good.
And I don't think it's a secret to say that the Fox 2 is actually on its way.
Well, in fact, we were discussing this yesterday with Dan.
Yes.
Okay.
He has... he's given us a couple of instances that happens in this book, and he's kind of like revitalizing it in a massive way.
Yeah, he's
like it's
dialing it up a bit.
There's a few scenes in there that is like, yep, that's fun, and it's gonna appeal to the Fox crowd, and some more other crowds.
Yeah, I suppose
I would say.
Yeah,
there is quite there's some funny. It's a weird. What do you?
We can't really say much without spoiling anything.
Yeah,
but
well, don't
obviously there's next year in 25. There's going to be more Fox. Yes.
Oh yes.
There's more Hardcore Hair. There's more Fox. That's what Dan's concentrating on.
Yeah.
I know that he said that he's going to get something ready for next Halloween, which is completely removed from everything else. This is a brand new thing,
but still connected.
Yeah, that he wants to do for Halloween next year. So everyone's just going to have to wait for that, unfortunately. But he's going to concentrate on doing Fox and Hardcore Hair, plus a few little projects that we've got for him, for like
collaboration, and stuff like that.
For like Signature Murder 2, and we've got another book called Monsters that he's going to do a few pages for as well.
Which you should be seeing some more bits for that soon.
Within the next few months, I would have thought.
Yeah, like you're going to see a lot of more traction on Monsters.
Yes.
Because it's almost done.
So it's going to be a busy 2025. So you mentioned Signature Murder.
Yep.
That sort of, I think that, I'm not quite sure where that came in the release schedule now, but as you mentioned,
I think it was number 3, wasn't it? No, Hardcore Hair 2 came out, and then it was Signature Murder.
It was Signature Murder, Hardcore Hair 3, and Space Kitty. They all came around at the same point, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like, it was all at that.
It was quite quick succession, yeah.
All on the same day. We released them.
So with Signature Murder, what was the idea behind that?
We were in the car.
A lot of our ideas come from just sitting in the car going home, and we would start driving, and it wouldn't be very far. It's like 6 miles. But then we'd come up with an initial concept as we start driving, and then by the time we got home, it would be a fully fledged 5-part epic, that we then got to sit there and start writing. This is kind of where Tid came from, but that's jumping ahead. But yeah, Signature Murder was very much, that was born out of a necessity to get more artists involved in the book. Obviously, when you're doing independent stuff, this is no dig at writers whatsoever, but the art is what takes the time.
Yes.
It just does. So I tried to think, how can I get more artists involved in a book? And being a fan of comics myself, I know how jarring it is to have numerous artists do the same book, and it's just one big story. It just takes you out, it just loses flow, and I just don't like it. So I thought, how can I get more artists involved? So we came up with the concept of a group of people sat round a table discussing how they dispose of bodies, because they were all serial killers. It's probably a damning indication of the way our brains work, but it was just a fun story, and that way we could, for each one of those killers, we could have a different artist show what is going on in their head. So we got brand new artists to help. A lot of these had never been printed before. They'd never even considered doing comic art. But obviously we'd already had a bit of traction with Dan on Hardcore Hair. And it was very much, look, if we can do it, you can do it. So it's kind of talking them into it. And I think they did amazingly well. Yeah. They did brilliantly.
It really paid off.
It really paid off. They're all completely different. And then Dan drew the linking pages for that. And it all came together really, really well. And me and Raven wrote it, obviously. And I'm really proud of that.
And all those writers we worked with have all gone on to do more stuff.
Yeah, all of them. They're still working for us. They're still doing other bits and pieces. But they only had to do 3 pages.
Yeah, I do remember you discussing this with me. Don't know when it came out now, but certainly at least a year back. Maybe.
Oh yeah, it was more than a year.
Yeah,
it was May, wasn't it?
So I always thought that was a good idea. You've got sort of linking, and then you've got different artists and stories in the actual book.
It was like that, but we also looked at it as this is a showcase to show off all these artists, like just to get something to their names. So when people go, oh, who did this book? Oh yeah, if you read Signature Murders, they're the ones who drew it. Yeah, it was just showing off what we had.
Yeah, and it was getting people. If you haven't drawn comics before, and you're new to the process, say you're an artist and you're new to the process, for us to turn around to you and say, I want 20 pages, that's a massively daunting prospect. And you're more likely to go, nah, I'm not going to do that. But if you say to someone, do us 3 pages, they're more likely to say, yeah, all right, I can give that a go. And that's how it's happened. So a few of the artists, like Tanchu, she was a bit apprehensive on how to do it, but she did those first 3 pages, and then that led to her other book, which she was already working on, Toil with Trouble, which we then
that was the web comic.
That was the web comic, yeah. So it was designed to be read with one thumb. So it was one very, very long strip.
Yes,
it's very good. It's very the art is.
Oh, it's amazing.
Nice. It's a very beautiful book.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It actually did present quite well, I think.
It did,
and it was in the slightly larger size format.
It came out very well.
Yeah.
And she does have a story of monsters coming up as well.
She does,
because that works the same way as Signature Murder.
Yes. So it's the same format, lots of different artists telling different bits, and then it all comes together in one thing. We've got big plans for Monsters. We had a lot of fun writing that. It's pretty epic.
Of all the stories we did, that's the one that escalates the most.
Yeah, you don't see where that's going at all.
Like, so much fun.
We had a lot of fun writing that. Being big fans of like Universal Monsters and monster movies,
Hammer and stuff.
Hammer.
Like that.
It was a lot of fun.
So the other thing I wanted to mention was the reveal earlier in the year on Hardcore Hair 3.
Yes.
Do you want to talk us a little bit about how that happened? Because I was just blown away by it, to be perfectly honest. Didn't remotely.
It was, so that kind of started with, I was sat at work and we were going to go and attend a con later that week.
Fantasy Con 2, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we were going to go and attend, but I was scrolling through like social media and a photo came up of someone that was going to attend that con. So I kind of looked at the face and I did the whole...
No, it's 3.
What's 3?
It was Fantasy Con 3. Sorry,
Okay.
I just wanted to get that right.
Yeah, I think that was the one I was at. So, yeah,
they all kind of blur into one after a while. I've done so many. So his face came up and there was something about the jawline, and I did the classic, held my hand up to the screen to cover the eyes so I could just see the jaw, and it kind of struck me, hang on, that looks a bit similar. So I quickly took a screenshot, sent it to Dan, and Dan instantly knew what I was getting at, and Dan said, let's ask him. And we thought to ourselves, he's never going to say yes, he's never going to agree to this, but it'll give us an interesting story that we can tell in the future. Oh, do you remember that time we asked that actor? So the day came, and so the actor is Craig Fairbrass. He's been brilliant. He's been so nice. We went over to him and introduced ourselves, and the first thing, well, I said to him, because Dan didn't want to talk, Dan made me talk, which I was happy to do, and the first thing Craig said was, no, I can't. It's all to do with licenses and film studios, and because Craig's a big actor. He's done a lot. He's done so much stuff. Rise of the Foot Soldier. He was in One Piece for Netflix. EastEnders. He was in Call of Duty 4. He played Ghost. He was in Battlefield 5. He's done so much TV work, and movies, which he is the producer of as well. So originally he said no, and then he looked at the cover, because I took some comics with us, and he looked at the cover that Andy Sawyers had done for us for Hardcore Hair 1, and he's like, I like that. That's good. And he kind of talked himself into it. And he started asking Dan loads of questions. Up until that point, bearing in mind we only had Hardcore Hair 1 out at this point, and Fox 1. They were the only 2 comics we had. So we weren't a big business by any stretch of the word. We really weren't. And we were 2 nobodies that went up to him in a convention and said, please, mister, do you want to be the face of our comic? Which he then agreed to do. So we then ended up sitting on that information for 6 months, because we knew what was going to happen, but nobody else did. So when Dan had already finished Hardcore Hair 2, which was going to be launched like the month after or something like that, so we couldn't we didn't want to shoehorn him in because it would have broken the flow of the story, and we didn't want to postpone it. So we decided that he would rejig issue 3 so we could do it as a reveal and have Craig unmask in issue 3, which is exactly what we did. And then when we announced it in a room full of people, it kind of took everyone by surprise, and it was really strange for us because we knew it was coming.
Yeah, I was there in the front row with your printers as it happens, and I must admit I had no idea, having read Hardcore 1 and 2, and you're saying, well, who is Hardcore Hair? I think, well, I'm not sure you've established enough characters and enough detail for the reveal to be anything. But what I didn't expect was for you to come out with that.
No,
I was absolutely stunned. Yeah,
we
couldn't
kept
believe
that
it.
very, very quiet. There was like close personal friends that didn't have a clue because we couldn't tell them. Because there was probably about 6 people that knew.
It was a big round of applause, wasn't it?
There was, yeah.
There was a
It was a shock, because people are like, what? It's difficult to wrap your head around, and considering, like I said, we only had 2 books out at the time, for Craig to put his faith into us, and Craig's been great.
Yes.
You know, everything that we've done, I've sent to him and said, here's the stuff. Do you want to change anything? Do you want to, you know, are you absolutely positive that you want to go ahead with this? And he keeps emailing back and like with thumbs up and carry on, and so he's been absolutely great.
Yeah, I just think that's just to be an independent, you know, comic publisher. You've had 2 titles out the gate, and then you get Craig to be the face of Hardcore Hair. I think that's just an amazing achievement. I'm not quite sure what comes after that.
I mean, the toys were the same.
Oh, of course, yeah, the toys,
which have gone very, very well.
Yeah,
we're already getting prototypes for Wave 3, and Wave 2 hasn't even come out yet.
Yeah, we decided that we wanted to do toys or action figures because we're big fans ourselves, and we collect a lot of toys. So why wouldn't we just start making our own?
Yeah, I think that surprised me because I didn't expect. You know, you're starting off small and you've got some titles out already. I didn't expect you to do the figures, but I actually really liked them. I think Wave 1 was Hardcore Fox and Hardcore Bear.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Wave 2 is 2 of them are up for pre-order already. The next one will probably be up for pre-order in the next week, I would have thought. So Wave 2 is Tin, Fox, and another Hardcore Hair, but it's unmasked, so it's Craig. Now, we did ask Craig, can we use your likeness and do an action figure? And he's like, yep, you go for it.
And as far as we're aware, he's never had that before. So this is the first official Craig Fairbrass action figure that he's ever had.
That's amazing.
Which it's insane.
Yeah, and like Raven said, we're already getting prototypes through for Wave 3, which I can't tell you who they are.
That's okay. I think
or how many there are either.
Yeah,
but yeah, we're having fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what you've done, what you've achieved so far is just very impressive. So what's next on the release schedule?
I believe after that it was Toy with Trouble that came out.
Yeah, it was sort of based on the webcomic.
Yeah, and
Space Kitty
that came out at the convention.
All right, okay.
And that was for younger readers, more of a storybook.
It was a niche one.
Very niche. So that was a novella. So more words, less pictures.
Yeah. It was done by Rick.
And his wife too. And it's a character that they created. It's literally a kitty in space that's got his spaceship, and it's, you know, his crew of mice, and they go around the solar system and get into various predicaments.
All the shenanigans of space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very quirky, but it's fine. It's great.
And he's working on more, isn't he?
Oh, he's doing a lot more, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Rick has worked on other bits and pieces as well. We've received artwork for other stuff, which I'll tell you about at the end. As an exclusive.
Okay, that's cool. As they say, stay tuned. I think that takes us into the September releases.
Yeah.
Where you had 4 titles, and I think
that was Fantasy Con 4.
Yep.
Now we're up to,
which I think it's another interesting part of the story, is where you've got Dan Digby having done Artemis for the US, which gets Hardcore Hair released in a Noble Entertainment edition, and then Caulkhead gets the US Artemis as a Caulkhead edition. Was there much of a story behind that? How did that happen?
So the answer is the same with a lot of questions that people ask us, which is it's all Dan's fault.
I've heard that before.
It's Caulkhead is, although me and Raven own Caulkhead, it's very much a collaborative process with everyone involved. And if someone comes to us and said, I've had a great idea, how about this? And we go, that's a great idea, let's do it. And then before you know it, you've done it. You know, and it's, like I said before, we're having fun. And so Dan came to us and said, I've been doing this work for an American company called Noble Entertainment, and they've got some comics. would you be interested in doing a collaboration with them? So we're like, yeah, of course we would. Why wouldn't we? Let's do it. What other independent publishers out there are doing collaborations with other independent publishers in another country? So we quickly got a Zoom meeting together where we could all introduce ourselves, and we just fleshed out the deal then. And it was, well, you get that and we get that, and it's a handshake deal, and you get to do 200, we get to 200, print run, and whatever you make you keep, and whatever we make we keep.
And they're very nice.
And they were like, all right. And that's how it happened.
So
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, I'm about to say it's not a case of never say never again, but is there likely to be another team up with
I hope so.
Noble
Oh yeah,
soon?
I'm really hoping so. They're very nice to work with. They've been very good to us.
Yep.
Right, the next title is the one I'm going to have trouble saying. Weed Whacker Woman.
Yes.
It's all the one we use, which I struggle with. That seems like a very personal project, I think, for Clive, the artist and writer on that.
No,
Go on, you go.
I mean, it was written as like a love letter to his wife,
Dawn.
Dawn, who, yeah, I know she's Dawn. But it was just when he felt like it, he did these sketches and comedy pieces, and he's been doing it for years. He originally released like a little one, didn't he?
Yeah,
a couple of years ago.
I've got a copy.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, and there wasn't really much about it. So when we were talking to him, and he started helping us, he did the cover for Signature Murder.
Yep.
So he was one of our artists on that.
He's a brilliant artist.
Oh yes.
Yeah, he really knows how to paint pictures. Proper.
Yeah.
Painting.
And
with a brush and everything.
More than I can do.
Yeah.
He has been up to a lot, like a lot.
Yeah.
Different things.
Yeah, Clive has done an awful lot of artwork for us, which hasn't seen the light of day yet.
Yes.
There's a lot. So, obviously, he had all this Weed Whacker Woman art in the bag, because he's been doing it for years. And again, he kind of said, oh, it would be really good, if we could possibly do this one day. And I'm like, let's do it now. And it's just a conversation that kind of led to, all right, we're doing Weed Whacker Woman. She's now part of the universe. Let's go. Which he was more than happy to do.
I think it's one of those titles where I saw the cover and I thought, I've got no idea what this is about. And when I actually read through it, I actually had fun reading it.
It is a fun
it was
book.
not quite what I was expecting. I don't know what I expected, but yeah, I think that got a thumbs up from us.
There will be a Weed Whacker Woman 2. And there has been talk of a Weed Whacker Woman 3. Because we've had a few ideas which we can't talk about. But there will be more, yes. Definitely.
And the one there, I think both of you will be, I think, quite proud of, and deservedly so, is Tin.
Well, Tin's all Ravensfall.
yeah, that is. It's to be fair, it's been long enough now. We could just talk about it.
Well, you can do.
Rather than it's not very much of a spoiler anymore of what it's about.
What's in that we put it on one of the covers, yeah.
And he's a toy. So
And he's a toy, yeah.
that kind of makes that redundant. It was a joke that
got way out of hand.
It got really way out of hand, like a lot of our books do. And it was, what if the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz went mad, or was always mad? Like, sure, is it new these days when you've got all these, B-list slasher movies doing Winnie the Pooh does this, or the Grit? We didn't want to do a straight-up gore fest with no personality, because anyone can just throw a mask on someone and go, look, it's this. But Tin was, we had to give him his own personality, and his design. Clive really knocked out of the park when it came to his design.
We originally wrote this as 4 5-page chapters. That was the original idea. So we could put it at the back of one book, or put it in an anthology book, or whatever. We were trying to give ourselves options. So we wrote the first 5 pages, and Tin is introduced at the end of the 5th page. So we said to Clive, would you be interested in drawing this? We didn't tell him what the script was. And he just went, yeah, I'll do it. So we handed it to him, and I knew that Clive was a big Wizard of Oz fan anyway. So I was kind of worried that he would read it and go, what have they done to my film? I'm not going to draw this. But he was well on board. He was like, this is brilliant, I love it. So literally 3 days later, Clive sends me a message and says, I've finished. What do you mean you've finished? I've literally just given you the 5-page script. What are you talking about? He'd done it. He just went home and did it. But on the reveal page where we introduced the Tin Man, he'd drawn the actual movie version.
Right.
And I'm like, you can't do that, Clive. So he had to go back and redesign him and change him, which is to what he now looks like now.
Yeah.
Which
I think is, out of all the characters we've done, he's up there as one of my favourite designs, because he's a mixture of funny looking, he's not threatening, but he is scary at the same time. And when we were writing it, he was the way he talks was like, it's like he's not doing anything wrong, he's just talking to you, and he's like, I'm having a great time, la la la. But he's doing all these horrific things. But when we got the art back from when he's doing these horrible things, he's got this such sinister smile. It's like he's taking pleasure out of it. And Clive's art just had a whole other aspect of the character.
Oh, yeah, elevated it. Yeah, definitely.
It really did. It made him way more scary.
Yes. So we then had to write the next 3 parts, making it up to 20 pages, which we did very, very quickly. And then Clive painted them very, very quickly. Yeah. So the decision was made, well, we just need to release this as its own book then. There's no point in waiting to put it into something else. We'll just do it as its own book. And because Clive finished so fast, we then sat there and wrote issues 2 and 3, which we...
I remember we were in the car and we said, what do we do about Tin 2? And you went, okay, we won't do that until Tin 1 has come out. Let's see how it goes. And then about a week later, we had 2 more issues.
Yes.
If I remember correctly, yeah. Because we couldn't help ourselves.
Yeah, because it was fun. Yeah. We, spoiler alert, issue 1 does finish with the end ? It doesn't finish. It keeps on going.
Oh, no.
But, we then had to think, right, where is this story going? What's this character going to do? What's the outcome of it? And a lot of the writing that me and Raven do, and everything that we do, we write together anyway. There's no personal independent things. It's we just bounce ideas off of each other. And the one rule that I stick to, and I don't classify myself as a comic writer in the slightest, I really don't.
No.
But if it makes me giggle, then all right, I'll do it. I've got to get some sort of fun out of it for it to be worth me doing it. And we had an awful lot of fun writing Tin. It does go places that you just don't expect it to go. It is pretty horrific in places, very horrific in places. Some of there's a thing that happens in issue 2 that's horrific.
Yeah. And
I thought to myself, there's no way Clive's going to be able to draw that. And he did. He Googled how to do it. And if anyone went into his house, they'd be horrified at what he was looking at. His search history must be terrible. But yeah, we had an awful lot of fun. We've got a lot of ideas for Tin going forward.
So are we going to see a straw and a fur title?
We haven't spoken about specific titles, but we have certainly spoken about specific characters.
Yeah.
I think that's fair
Other
enough.
characters may turn up.
Yeah.
We haven't thought about spin-offs, but technically we have. But that's a different conversation for a future talk. But the Tin Man's definitely got a bunch of crazy shenanigans he's going to be getting into.
Yes.
That is going to set a precedent for the rest of the stuff we do, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose. A lot of the titles that we have, whether it's Hardcore Hair, Fox, there's loads of them. We like to think that we're world building and Will certain characters turn up in other things? Yeah, you bet they will.
I thought the most logical one was Hardcore Hair on the Fox.
Mhm.
Expected to see a crossover there and a couple of matching covers that you could put together to make one great picture. But,
It's a good idea.
It is.
I'm sure you've already thought of it.
We've talked about everything.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff to come with it, definitely.
So the final title from the September launch was
Dawn of Indigo.
Dawn of Indigo,
Yes.
yeah, which I must admit I haven't read, so I have flicked through it,
Mhm.
but I will read it. How did that come about?
Well, again, it was all Dan's fault.
Yeah.
It's a Dan's fault.
So Dan had a mate, Grant Mace, who actually did the variant cover for Hardcore Hair 3, which was a brilliant silhouette of Hardcore Hair holding up a guy, and there's a brick wall. He just knocked it out of the park. You know, Grant's a brilliant artist that hasn't really done comics before. So Dan was sort of like pushing him to go, you can do this, you can do this. So we asked him to do the cover, which he did, knocked it out of the park, did really well. Grant came along to a convention that we were at and saw the response and the feedback, and he thought to himself, I can do my own book. I can definitely do this. So he then, you'll have to interview him for this, but he decided, for whatever reason, to do his own book, but it had to be a 50-page epic book one.
With a poster.
With a poster, yeah. So he decided to do it. I did. I tried talking him out of it. So you absolutely sure, because it's a big thing to bite off.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and wrap your head around, considering it's your first book. And to his credit, he stuck with it, and he was determined. And I'm like, all right, fine, fair enough. It's your book.
And it came out very well.
And he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it's a good looking book.
It's a really good book. It's a nice little package. It's really put together really well. Yeah.
So that brings us on to yesterday,
Yes.
which was the launch of Hardcore Hair 4.
Yep.
And it wasn't just a release of just one title, was it? Can you talk to us about that?
Well, new story-wise, it was Hardcore Hair 4.
Yes.
And there was a bunch of new covers. But it was... How to explain it? There was a good... Like, we like to do Christmas covers every Christmas. And, like, so...
Yeah, we do limited runs of
Yeah.
certain books with certain covers. And because we don't reprint covers, once they're gone, they're gone. Obviously, we want to keep things in print. So if we run out of Hardcore Hair 1, we'll just get a new cover and do it again. Obviously, there are comic fans out there that want everything, which is great for us. It's brilliant. But we'd like people to have choice. And if you don't like this particular cover, well, have that one then. That's why we always try and do like a variant cover, or we have, especially with Hardcore Hair. There's only been a few books which we haven't actually had variants on.
No, Signature Murder never got one.
No, Signature Murder, Dawn of Indigo,
Toil of
Trouble, Space Kitty. But everything else has had a variant, all of them. So, yeah, it was a case of what else can we do to show people, you know, or give people choice, basically, at the end of the day. So that's what we did. So what did we launch? It's Hardcore Hair 4 with Dan's cover. It was the variant cover
with
Andy Sawyer's,
Andy.
and that's gorgeous artwork. That's really nice.
Yes.
We bought that off of Andy because I wanted it. We also did Hardcore Hair 1 with a blank sketch cover because we haven't done one before.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and obviously Dan does an awful lot of conventions. We do a lot of conventions, and it just makes perfect sense for him to draw on his own comic. The paper is really, really nice.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, our printers, Meridian 3, I can't recommend them enough. They're amazing. When I first went to them, or we first went to them and said, we've got this crazy idea, are you interested? And they said, but we've never done comics before. And I kind of went, but can you do it? And they went, yeah, let's see. So we started this company as people that have never been published, had any experience in publishing, and our printers didn't know how to do it. They had a really good idea, but they'd never done it before. And it all worked. I think we probably surprised ourselves that it was successful as it was.
we never expected it to get to this point. Really.
No, it is like it's a joke that got it at hand.
Well, I think just as a comic fan, I sort of saw you in the shop, and we had a chat about comics, and I think you pointed out that you've done some independent comics with Hardcore 1. So I picked them up. I enjoyed them, and I'm just amazed about how the lines have expanded. You've got figures, and you've got a Hollywood actor to be the face of your character, and it's like that cliche from acorns, oak trees grow, and I'm just amazed that such a small independent publisher has expanded as much as you have. You seem to be quite successful.
We want to do, the reason for that is like with Tin, it was just we dropped it like as it came out, so we didn't want to give anyone too much time to think about it until they got it.
Yeah.
But with Goblin Queen, we want to do a lot more promotion leading up to the release.
Okay, yeah.
So we will be showing off pages, the character design.
Yeah.
You'll see the covers before it's released. Like, we'll have a good 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks.
In January we'll start pimping it.
Yeah.
Quite a lot. If you go back and look at the Tin covers, it doesn't show him off at all. The first time that we showed him off was Dan's cover.
Yeah.
Which he turned around in an hour and a half.
Yeah, I mean, that was quite...
it's a brilliant cover.
Yeah, I mean, it's so in its simplicity, but I say that, but I'm not taking anything away from Dan. But yeah, it is a beautiful cover, and I love the orange background with it.
In fact, my exact conversation with Dan went something like this. Dan said, I've got an idea for a cover for Tin. I said, mate, it's at the printers right now. You've literally got an hour and a half. And he went, I'll do it. And he did.
And it was way better than we thought. I've already got to do that now.
I must admit, with Dan, I caught the live stream with him drawing art from, I can never remember the name of the movie. Terrifier.
Yeah.
And it went from pencils to inks and then colour, and it just looked amazing. He was able to do that so quickly. It's getting better and better.
Yeah, we went round his house when we were doing pictures for the new boxes, because he was taking the pictures for them.
The action figures.
And the action figures, Wave 2. And we were testing out paper for the sketching books that were released yesterday. And he's going around and he does this quick hardcore hand. It looks fantastic. And then we're like, what are you doing with that? He's like, I'm throwing it away. It's awful. I'm like, I'll take that. Make him say something. So he does a little speech bubble and says, this is on it. But it looked really good. And I've still got it. I'm going to frame it.
Yeah. You'll have to cut that bit.
Well, I might have to bleep it.
You can bleep it. Yeah. I think Dan will appreciate it.
But Dan did a really good sketch very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Within a matter of
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
It was insane.
Just to test out the paper to see if it bled through.
That was, I would spend 30 quid on that sketch. And he's like, I'm throwing it away. What's wrong with you?
Artists can be their own worst critics.
Very much so. All art is abandoned.
But, so I think we've covered most of it. I want to talk a little bit about, I know we talked about this earlier, before the interview. Caulkhead Comics is based on the Isle of Wight. And I know you have projects that are going to at least, be based on the Isle of Wight, but you want to be more of a national, if not international. You want to have that sort of reach.
Yeah.
How are you going to try and
achieve
that reach? I'm not saying you're not going to. I think you've expanded so much. I think definitely potential there.
There's definitely a bucket list.
Yeah.
We're slowly ticking things off. And like I said, being fans of comics ourselves, we want to do certain things. Like we did a foil cover. We've done one. We've done two, actually. Tick. We've now got card stock covers. Tick. We've got a Glenn Fabry cover. Tick. We do want to do things like die cut covers or
scratch and sniff
covers, if you like. Yeah, pop up covers. Yeah, there's anything quirky, like niche, weird, gimmicky things that you used to find in the 90s that because obviously I was reading.
Well, the
comics at the time.
covers have got bits cut out of them.
Yeah.
I really
bullet
I
holes
want to
and-
do a holographic one. I don't know how we'd do it.
I have no idea.
but
We'll have to
would
figure
be
that out.
Great.
That would be good fun.
Well, why don't you cheap it out and do a 3D one where you have to wear the glasses?
Yeah, well, I want.
That might be an option.
That's a very good option. Yes.
Actually, I don't. Do you think they could do that?
Well, all it is offset blue and red, I think,
If
on the image.
I remember. I don't know, it was like.
No, they can.
It was-
I have asked that question before. They can
I
do
believe
it.
it was like in 1989. They did one for Batman, and you could at the back. There was Batman themed 3D glasses you could put on.
Mhm.
If we did a hardcore hair 3D glasses with the ears coming off,
See, this is how it happens. This is what works.
that'd be great.
And then we talk to the printers, and they go, "We can do that." And then all of a sudden, we've done it.
That'd be the best book we'll ever do ever. Yeah, like, it would.
But you've heard it here first.
we will try because
We'll give it a go.
I'm now going to be annoyed if we can't do it. Honestly.
Yeah, because now we want to do it. So why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
So that's literally how things work for us. Someone gives us an idea, we go, "That's a really good idea," and before we know it, we've released it and it's done.
We're definitely asking them about that, though. Like, that is
Yeah.
weird.
So, looking to the future, you were talking about get comics into, is it previews?
Yep.
So, any time frame for that?
The only time frame we have, obviously, you have to build up a chunk of work before you do put things into previews. You can't do issue 1, leave it 5 months, and then do issue 2. You won't get any traction. No one will buy your book. So we had a conversation, all of us, and it was sort of agreed that we won't do anything until Dan's done issue 6. There's a natural stop at Hardcore Hair 6 for some reason.
I mean, it's a 12-issue series.
Yeah, it's a 12-issue series, but
the halfway point
is yeah. So it just makes sense for us to wait until he gets to number 6, then we can start releasing it monthly through previews. When we get to the end of that, then it opens up things like trade paperbacks and other bits and pieces, which is, again, it's on the bucket list. That's what we want to do. That's where we're going. There's an awful lot of comic fans out there that don't buy single issues. They want trade paperbacks. So we are looking at a lot of our stuff, whether it's Hardcore Hair, Fox, Signature Murder, Tin. Eventually they will all get trade paperbacks because we want to continue to do them, and it's just a logical thing to do.
Okay, I'll come on to the final questions. Is there a project you'd like to do, but for some reason you can't? And that could be the copyright with other companies. Or maybe an idea that's so offbeat that
I mean,
you don't think you'll be able to produce
it
it.
would always be nice to do a crossover with someone.
Yeah.
Like,
Again, there's bucket list things of you'd love to do, a crossover with a certain comic character.
yeah, like Hardcore Hair meets Batman. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
you can't really argue with that.
know,
Or Judge
it would-
Dredd meets Hardcore Hair, or
yeah,
whatever
there's
it is.
plenty of stuff we would love to do.
And we're all open to doing them.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So if anyone is listening to this
Yeah, we'd love
and you
to do it.
own one of these, please get in
So
contact.
come on, Rebellion.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, definitely.
but-
For project-wise, if we can think of it,
We'll do it.
yeah, as long as we're not stepping on anyone's toes.
Of course, yeah.
Like we've written I don't know, 15 other comic scripts that haven't even seen the light of day yet, with different
Yeah.
characters and comedies and horrors and all of it. We've talked about.
There's loads. There's certain characters that we've been working on.
Yeah.
That no one knows about.
Okay, final question. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you wish I had?
I can't think of anything off the top of my
I
head.
could probably cut this question.
I mean, you haven't asked us who would you like to play Hardcore Hair in a movie, because that's
That's great.
obvious.
Well, yeah, I can't ask you that one.
I think that
What about
was
Fox in the movie?
oh yeah,
Oh,
Fox,
yeah.
that'd be a good
Oh,
question.
blimey.
Well, he'd be CG, wouldn't he?
I don't know.
He's massive.
Ron Perlman would do pretty good.
Oh yeah, okay, he would do a good one.
Yeah.
Well, that would be a pain in the ass to put all that on.
He's used to it, though, isn't he?
Oh yeah, but doesn't mean he likes it.
I genuinely, I don't know where we're going. That's not an admission of incompetence. as far as a lot of people would argue, we don't know where we're headed. We're having a lot of fun doing this, and we get to work with a lot of passionate people that want to come along for the ride. And I don't know where we're going.
I think with just the humble launch of Hardcore Here 1, there's no way I would have guessed what you have achieved in the past 2 years and your plans for 2025. So
we like the reason why it's just so much fun is because we're fans of it ourselves. I try and collect it. I own everything we've done.
Yeah,
but I even collect like the pieces of paper that promote certain bits, and it's like whatever, like it doesn't matter what it is, as long as our thing is on there, even if I've never seen it. Every sticker, every keychain anyone does third party, I will try and buy. I will get everything.
Yeah, we don't know where we're going, but we know we want to go there.
Yes.
I think on that note,
to be fair, if it went horribly wrong and stopped tomorrow, I'd be happy with what we've done.
Oh yeah,
you have achieved a lot, and you should be rightly proud of.
Yeah,
of what
and it's
you've
not just us; it's been a collaborative process across the board.
Like there's like how many people? Like 50 odd.
Like there's loads of people that have helped.
Many people.
There's so many people.
Technically, the Caulkhead team is massive. Like it really is massive. And then there's friends at Caulkhead. Like I see, like even all of the new stockists, all the other shops, they're Caulkhead. They're the front lines of selling books. Like, that's the way it should be.
Yeah, I think that's the amazing strategy as well, is getting them in a lot of the shops here on the Isle of Wight.
Yeah, and they've all been really good. Love all of them.
Yep.
We're just having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you very much.
Raven.
Thank you for having us. Cheers.
No problem at all.